Hello, and you're tuned into the Son of the Morning Comics channel. Gonna do another comic book review here. What we're gonna be looking at in this video is Marvel Snapshot Fantastic Four #1. Now, this is a part of a series. It's called Marvel Snapshots. The first one that came out was about the Submariner. Now, what these stories are is they're stories of some of these classic heroes that are told through the eyes of others. It's very much an offshoot the idea taken from Marvels by Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek, where I think his name was either Phil Selden or Phil Sheldon, one or the other, was a reporter at the Daily Bugle, and basically you got to read sort of the history of the Marvel Universe through the eyes of a reporter over the course of many years, and you got to see how his attitudes changed towards people with powers. Very cool series. Marvels by Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek. Definitely check that out. Now, this one, like I said, this series is a little bit different, where it's more of a one person having their recollections of one team or one hero, whatever you want to call it. So in the first in the first issue, it was the Submariner, and it was told through the eyes of an old love interest, which is actually not too different about this one here. So this one, the Marvel Snapshots Fantastic Four, was written by Evan Dorkin and Sarah Dyer. The art done by Benjamin Dewey. Color artist Jody Belair, and lettering by Joe Caramagna. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And of course the cover done by Alex Ross. So story here starts out talking about crises. I mean, that doesn't really have much to do with the rest of the book, but I guess it's just sort of setting the scene, that letting you know that this is taking place in a time of turmoil with heroes in the world. Now, this is a former girlfriend of Johnny Storm. Now, she is getting ready. Johnny is coming back for a reunion, for his 10-year high school reunion, which probably would have been realistically in 1971, but that's okay. So she's getting ready. Former girlfriend of the Human Torch, so she's getting ready, and they want to a TV studio wants to interview them. I guess they're doing a story about it. They're in the town that the Johnny and Sue are from. There's monuments to them everywhere. Like I said, they're interviewing her about her experiences with Johnny. There's a Fantastic Four or Human Torch and Invisible Woman museum. This is cool. So I like this part here. I think the art here is fantastic. This is just a very quick 2-page little origin story of the Fantastic Four, and I think the art's beautiful, and I also like that it shows some of their big foes that they would end up taking on in the world. Now, here's where where I want to point something out that I was finding a little bit strange about this book, is that it says it's, the Marvel Snapshots Fantastic Four, but this is really about Johnny Storm. It has nothing to do with Ben Grimm, Reed Richards, or even really Sue Storm. So I found that to be a little strange. And so, they go for a tour of the Fantastic Four Museum. I like how they have the original Fantastic Car from FF 6 or something, or right early on in the Fantastic Four run. They have the museum. I found this really a little bit kind of strange, because this is like a Johnny and Sue museum, but this is like the original Android Human Torch looking display over here, so I don't really understand that. But they keep going through the museum. You know, Sue and Johnny are royalty in Glenville, but more so Johnny, because I guess he stuck around a little bit more, or came back to visit a little bit more. What gets a little bit strange is now, when they start talking to these people about Johnny, they're not really having anything nice to say, and I'm not really going to spend too much time on it, but nobody's all that happy with Johnny, except for this guy here, who was decided that he was going to be like Asbestos Man and try to take down Johnny back in the day. He's got his suit there, and basically he didn't like Johnny at the time. He didn't hate him or want to kill him. He just wanted to make sure that he knew that he could be put in his place. Didn't work out well for him here, as you can probably see. Like I said, they're talking about, asking questions about Johnny. Nothing, there's a whole lot of Johnny's. It was a hothead, and even before he was the Human Torch. We finally get to see another member of the Fantastic Four. And so, you know, this is actually kind of interesting here, where the reporter asks her if she was ever scared when she was in a relationship, because he didn't have a secret identity. Everybody knew that the Human Torch was Johnny Storm, and she would say, then she replied, yeah, that she would have nightmares all the time. This is, I guess, the depictions of her nightmares, and then she just says she doesn't want to talk about it. And you know, the reporter asks her if that must have been very difficult, and I think really cool that it was added in here that they talk. She says, you know, she feels lucky that even though the relationship didn't work out, her life, she could have ended up like Gwen Stacy. And I think that was really interesting that they pointed that out in here. And so then next they have the big party in Glenville for the Human Torch, who comes swooping in. And there he is, and he is just being a total dick to everybody at this party. Like, old friends, doesn't want to talk to them, doesn't want to have anything to do with the reporters. People are trying to ask him questions. He's saying not now. The only thing he's interested in is the pretty ladies. And then, so, you know, people start talking about him here. And once again, nobody's having anything nice to say about the Human Torch, about Johnny Storm. And so I'm finding this to be a very strange read at this point in time. This guy, who's an army veteran, gets really mad because, you know, after his service, presidents came to see him, and army people, but not the Fantastic Four, not Johnny, and somebody who's from his hometown, and Johnny kind of being a dick again. He's saying he can't be everywhere. We're not gods, except, you know, Thor and Hercules, I think. So, kind of strange. And like I said, nobody's happy. Johnny decides it's time to leave. He takes off. There's also a part in there where he sees the old girlfriend, and he's just like, hey, how's it going? Doesn't even really acknowledge her other than that. The reporter asks her if she needs a ride home. She says no, she's fine. The reporter, being very Lois Lane-like, she senses that something is not right and decides that they're gonna follow her. And so all of a sudden they're in the middle, looks like the desert here, and Of course, the cameraman is concerned that the reporter has led him into a den of Skrulls, but that is not the case. And then Johnny Storm shows up, and this is where I get very confused. So, like, is this Glenville place supposed to be like a secret hideout for Inhumans? That's the only thing I can really figure out from this. I mean, well, you got Lockjaw, and like you got now they're having a real party, and he's sitting and talking to his good friend, and he's not being a dick anymore, he's being nice, and they start talking about how he has to be the a-hole to protect Glenville, and even though it's never explicitly said why, and I think that's why I'm assuming, based on what I saw, that it's a hideout for Inhumans. And so, he says he wishes that he didn't have to be that guy, understands why he does, but then, duty calls. It's time for the Human Torch to leave. He does, but like, they know everything's gonna be okay. Everything's okay in Glenville. Then she just heads home, and he signed her yearbook. And next up, Cap. How about that cover from Alex Ross? Yeah, so overall, like I said, I found this a little bit strange because it's not Marvel Snapshots Fantastic Four. It's Marvel Snapshots Johnny Storm. And I just found it very strange that he's kind of maligned for almost the entire book until the end, where he becomes the hero, but it's not really explicit of why he's the hero in that specific scenario. So, I mean, it is what it is. Still an interesting read. Not gonna turn me off the Marvel Snapshot series. I've said it before that I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you for joining me here on the Son of the Morning channel. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, hit the notification bell. You can visit me over on the Twitters at Son of the Morning 7, and have yourself a wonderful day.